Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video I have this super pretty butterfly acrylic nail design to share with you all. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. To start off, I am working on my Glamerliz practice hand and I have already applied my tips and a thin clear acrylic base. So we're jumping straight into the design. For today's acrylic system, I am using CJP. So this gorgeous yellow is called Parrot Feathers. And I'm going to start off on this now by doing an ombre with Parrot Feathers and the pink. The pink I believe is called French Rose, but I will leave all of the names of the products linked in the description box below, so check that out. So I'm starting off by just applying a thin layer of the Parrot Feathers, making sure to blend out the back of the bead, and then I'm coming in with another small bead at the tip of the nail, just so that tip is the most opaque part of the nail. Keeping my side walls as neat as I can, just trying to keep the application nice and thin because we are going to add some glitter and encapsulate. So I don't want to add too much bulk or too thick layers using my design. Then on the ring finger, I'm going to do exactly the same, but using Apple Shine. Now, this is one of my favourite colours from CJP, but I do believe it's changed now and has a slight shimmer to it. So if you purchase it now, I think it's slightly different to what it is here. Again, applying that exactly the same as the Parrot Feathers, making sure it's blended out at the back so we haven't got a harsh line when we're doing our ombre. And again, I always like to come in with a little bit more at the tip of the nail, just so the tip of the nail has that full-on vibrant colour and is nice and opaque. Blending that back, keeping it nice and thin. I try to keep my application as neat as possible, so then at the end of the design there's minimal finish filing to do. So you will see that I kind of like do this where I press my brush up against the sides of the nail, making sure I'm trying to keep with that shape that I've created with my tips underneath. Now I'm going to leave those two colours to dry because I prefer to let my colours dry before I come in with the next colour in my ombre. So I'm going to move on to the pointer finger, and on this nail I'm going to be doing a French. So I'm coming in first of all and creating my extended nail bed and creating like my smile line shape. Now ideally I don't think I would normally use a French Rose for this because it's not a full-on opaque colour. It's kind of a little bit semi-translucent. So I do build it up a little bit just to get that bit more of an opaque look, because personally if I'm doing an extended nail bed I like to use a really opaque colour. But I think this was my first time using French Rose. I've had it in my collection for a little while but I've not used it. It's absolutely beautiful for an ombre, but I just prefer something a little bit more opaque for a French. So I've placed that bead down and created a smile line shape, trying to get it as neat as possible so that again there's minimal filing to do. Then with my cuticle bead I'm placing that down just before the cuticle area, tapping it up into place using the tip of my brush and then feathering that down. I'm leaving the bulk of that product there though to start creating our apex area because this colour doesn't need to be encapsulated. Trying to keep that shape nice. So I'm trying to get a nice crisp shape for my smile line using my brush, but I do crisp it up with my file. So like I said, because here I just didn't get right down into that corner as much as I wanted, so using another small bead I'm just fixing up that cuticle area so there's enough product there and then blending it in to the previous bead of acrylic. And then because I want that pink to look a little bit more opaque, I'm going to come in with another small bead at the very tip of that French smile line. I'm going to place it down and just blend it back a little bit because that was where the area was looking a little bit see-through, and you could kind of see the join from where the false nail tip would meet the natural nail, if there was a natural nail there, because we are working on a practice hand. On to the ombres, I'm placing down a wet bead to begin with, just covering that fade area where the yellow has blended in to the clear base. Then I'm coming in with a larger bead, draining the back of this bead so it's a little bit drier, placing that down, tapping it into place at the cuticle area, and then I'm going to leave a majority of that product where I've placed it down and just blend the top of that bead of acrylic down to start creating our fade and our ombre. And like I said, because this colour is, I'd say, semi-transparent, it's not super transparent, it's just kind of like a glass-like pink. It's really easy to create a nice ombre with it because it blends out really nicely and it's not going to overtake your colour that you've popped down underneath. I think this French Rose would work brilliantly with one of the CJP whites, so either coconut or snow white. And I'm going to repeat that exact same step on the ring finger. So a wet bead to begin with to start creating that nice fade and softening the join where the colour meets the natural nail bed area. And then my larger, slightly drier bead down at that cuticle area. Now I love the CJP acrylic system because it's a drier system and I don't find it runny in any way. It kind of stays where you place it down, especially once you get the ratio right for it. So I like to just place it down and then using the tip of my brush, pat it into place around that cuticle area and then blend down. Here I'm just neatening up the cuticle. Now I've built up a little bit of the apex with the pink so that I don't have to encapsulate all the way down to the cuticle area, but I've tried to keep it a little bit thin at that blend area because I want to come in with some glitter. So I'm picking up a teeny tiny bead of CJP crystal glass and then I'm dipping into this beautiful glitter from Charlie's Nail Art. So this one is called Lemon and Lime and it's got a mix of green and yellow hexes, some silver metallic hexes and then some iridescent pieces in there as well. Now when I first picked this up, I picked up way too much glitter. I just wanted a hint of sparkle in that join area because I kind of had this design mapped out in my head already and I knew I was coming in with the stamped butterflies over the top, so I wanted these glittery pieces to kind of just be under that butterfly area, so I don't want to take them too far down into the cuticle area or too far up into the tip area. I want to keep them predominantly in this center part of the nail. This is great that this mix is a multi-cut mix, so there's some finer pieces in there so you can fade them out a little bit around where those larger pieces are so it doesn't look like a load of glitter's just been chucked down in the middle of the nail. So that's what I'm doing here. You can see I've got some poured out onto my paper towel and I'm just using my wet brush to pick up some of those teeny tiny pieces and blend them out around the edge. And then exactly the same on the ring finger because I wanted these two nails to be pretty much the same. So I picked up a small teeny tiny bead of clear acrylic, keeping my brush quite wet with monomer so that I'm able to move those glitter pieces around easily. And then I'm just going to pick out certain colours. So I want some of the greener pieces and some of the yellow pieces, making sure there's a few of those nice iridescent pieces in there. But I like to just get the bulk of it down first of all. And then with the ones that I've got poured out on my paper towel, I'm just picking out particular colours that I want to make sure are included. And then some of those smaller pieces to just blend it out around the edges. And then I will leave the glitter to fully set in place. As that clear acrylic dries that we've been applying it with, the glitter will set in place and then it won't move around when it comes to encapsulating the design. I love this glitter, it's super pretty and I thought it worked really well with that yellow Parrot Feathers acrylic as well. It really made the yellow from the glitter stand out. So off camera I did file my smile line just a little bit to neaten it up and crisp it up. I cleaned away all the dust with my brush and then I'm going to come in and do a kind of like double tip. So I want one part of the smile line to be the yellow, so I'm going to use the Parrot Feathers and then I'm kind of just going to create another smile line and we're going to then file that crisp and then I'll come in with the lemon and lime at the very tip of the nail. So I'm picking up a medium-sized bead, pushing it right down the wings of that nail just to make sure that we get that colour right down into that deep smile line that we've created. Didn't quite go to plan on the other side, so I do come in with another bead to fix this up, but my acrylic was starting to set. I was doing this set on such a hot day. It's been super hot this week here in the UK, so what I wanted to do was to start creating my smile line shape before that acrylic fully sets in place. So rather than focusing on that little area down at the wings, I'm just taking a moment to create the shape of my smile line, exactly the same as what we did with the French rose. So I'm trying to do a lot of the work with my brush, trying to create a lot of that shape using the sides of my brush, but I will file it crisp as well. Then once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to come in with another small bead and fix up the side here, making sure that there's enough product so it gets right down into that C curve, that French extended nail bed that we have created. I cannot get my words out today. The heat is killing me. One, it's hard to do nails in them, but two, I just feel like my brain is not working. I hope, however, you are all enjoying the sunshine if you have it wherever you are. Personally, my favourite time of year is autumn, so although I am loving the summer, I am looking forward to autumn. Once I'm happy with this, I'm just smoothing out all that acrylic. It doesn't matter too much if your colour goes over your extended nail bed, because when you do all of your finish filing, you will file away all that excess and reveal that smile line shape that you created. So we're going to move on to the little finger. I'm popping down a wash of apple shine just to get a nice neat cuticle area, and then I'm going to come in and do a marble using all 3 of those colours. So I'm picking up wet beads of all 3 of the colours. I picked up all 3, placed them down, and then I'm just bringing my brush to a point and marbling through them. Where the French rose is a little bit translucent, it kind of works like a clear does in a marble. So you don't necessarily see too much of the pink colour, but it creates this kind of clear space between the yellow and blue, and it kind of just made it mix together a little bit and create a nice greeny kind of colour. I really liked how it turned out. It's not a too defined marble because I worked a little bit wet because of how hot it was, but I thought it looked quite pretty and it finished off the set. I do love an acrylic marble. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and encapsulate all of these nails that we are finished with. So I'm coming in with a medium sized bead of clear acrylic, placing that down roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail. Like I said, I don't need to build up the cuticle area too much, but I did need to build up the apex a little bit and encapsulate that glitter. So I've blended that bead out, then I'm coming in with a second bead, placing it down, blending it back into the previous bead, and then pulling this down to the very tip of the nail, just to make sure that I'm happy with all of the structure of the nail. We are working on a practice hand, but a lot of the time when I'm working on my practice hand, I like to work exactly the same as I would as if I was working on myself. So I'm still making sure that I create that apex area and create that spine of the nail, and making sure that I'm happy with the overall structure of the nail. These nails are kind of like a medium to long length, so you want to make sure that if you was doing them on yourself or a client, you are building up the apex so that they've got plenty of strength. Blending back that bead, when you place down a second bead of acrylic, you always want to try and blend it back a little bit into the previous bead, because then this eliminates any shadowing that you might get between the 2 beads of acrylic. Now I was going to add a little bit of glitter into this marble, but I decided not to. I thought it looked quite summery and pretty as it was, and we do have glitter on all the other nails, so I kept this one plain. If I was doing this on myself, I probably would do the thumbnail the same as this one, or maybe I would do a marble ombre actually, but I would kind of try and include some kind of marble so that it tied all the set together. But here I'm just encapsulating exactly the same as what we did on the previous nails. And then that is all about, oh no, sorry. Then I went off camera and I filed my Parrot Feathers Smile Line Crisp. And then I'm going to come in with some of that beautiful lemon and lime glitter. Now I was finding this a little bit too chunky to get down on the little curved parts of that smile line. So I wiped it off, and I'm going to come in first of all with a finer glitter. So I picked up this one, which is a super fine glitter mix, but with a similar base colour to that previous glitter that we was using, and this is just going to mean I can get a little bit of sparkle right down into those thin narrow parts. So I'm picking this up using a teeny tiny bead of acrylic, and then I'm just getting it down into the smile line and then coming over the tip of the nail, because the lemon and lime glitter mix mainly has more chunky pieces in there. It has got some smaller pieces, but picking them all out would take too long. So by popping down a finer glitter underneath, you're going to make sure that you're getting full on sparkle in any areas where you can't fit those chunky pieces on. Then I'm just picking up that lemon and lime glitter mix and placing it right over the top of that finer glitter mix, and then I haven't got to worry about pushing pieces down because we've got that sparkle there already. Just using my brush to nudge everything into place, trying to keep it all as neat, like I said, keeping that shape that I've created with my clear base. I'm trying to make sure everything stays on the nail and isn't hanging over the edges. So I do lots of tapping at the sides with the sides of my brush to make sure I'm happy. Then I'm going to come in and just encapsulate the very tip of the nail. So you want to encapsulate everywhere that you've popped your glitters, but I am blending that back over the Parrot Feathers, because again, when we do our finish filing, it will refine everything and remove any excess acrylic that doesn't need to be there. But this just makes sure there's no gaps between the Parrot Feathers and that glitter tip that we've done. And then once I have done this, I did do all of the filing for this set off camera. I find it quite tricky to file on the Glamerliz. Lots of the time when I'm working in any kind of silicone hand, I take the tips out and file them, then put them back in to get the nice crisp shape. So I end up doing a lot of the filing off camera. So this is what the nails looked like once I had finished filing, and we're then going to come in and do a little bit of stamping. So I want to stamp this one butterfly, but do each side on each one of those ombre nails. So I've applied my stamping polish, scraped, rolled my stamper, a quick flick of the wrist to pick up that pretty butterfly image. And then I'm just going to line this up so that one half is on this nail and the other half of the butterfly is on the other nail. Giving my stamper a little rock and then pulling off, and it's stamped absolutely beautifully, and I love how predominantly the glitter is just under that butterfly shape. Now when I'm doing any kind of stamping on acrylics, it's usually just a quick video just adding in a hint of stamping, but I have got lots of stamping videos up on my channel. They are all in a dedicated stamping playlist, so do check that out if you want a few more hints and tips on how to stamp, or if you're struggling, you're always welcome to leave me a comment below and I will help you any way I can. Here I'm using my clear jelly stamper, which is my go-to stamper at the moment for any kind of stamping. I'm also using their black stamping polish as well. However, the plate is one that I believe is from Nicole Diary, which I got from Born Pretty. I absolutely love this one though. I love butterflies. This is one of my go-to plates for any kind of butterfly designs. I just love how well it has stamped as well. And then if you look, if you put the two nails together, they make that cute butterfly. But I love how both sides are different, because when I'm doing videos, I don't like anything to be too samey. So now that we have finished all of the design and all of the nail art, it's time to come in and top coat. So I'm taking my CJP Tack Free Top Gloss and I'm just going to apply a layer of this to all of the nails. I don't know what it is, but this particular top coat separates a little bit for me. I think I have contaminated the bottle, because the first and second bottle of Tack Free Top Gloss I had was absolutely perfect. But this particular one I've had a little bit of trouble with lately. And I do think it's maybe because I've got something on it that sort of contaminated the bottle. So if you do see it separating, what I end up doing is right before I pop them into cure, I just come over, brush over the nail again, and then it sorts it all out. But unfortunately I've still got quite a bit of this top coat left, so I don't want to purchase a new one until I've used it up. But it's still such a brilliant top coat because it has a beautiful high shine to it, and it gives off quite a hard gel finish as well. Now it does require a 60-second cure in an LED lamp, so once I have applied it to all of the nails, I'll pop them in to cure for 60 seconds. And then I have left a clip and a picture at the end of the finished set. So I do hope you all enjoyed today's video. Sorry I haven't been uploading as much, but it's the school holidays, which makes it a little bit tricky. I do upload every Friday though over on the Kiki London channel, so do check that out if you want to see any kind of gel polish designs. I hope you are all doing good. I hope you all having an amazing day and enjoying the summer. Let me know in the comments below how you are all doing, and I will talk to you all again soon in the next video. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.